Hi everyone and welcome back. So in the previous module, we have discussed about how an basic agentic AI looks and how is it different from the traditional RPA AI systems, right? And we looked at two demos. In the first demo, we just took a basic difference between the agentic AI. We tried to get a flavor of how agentic AI works, and we tried to get a flavor of how it is different from an RPA, right? And in the next demo, what we did was we went a notch ahead, where we also gave the agent and reasoning power, right? But what you'll see in these kind of agents or the basic agents that we created was that it was still quite a lot dependent on regex and if else statements, and even the reasoning which was given to the agent was based on if else statements. But what if and still they would fail a lot of times, right? Because it's ultimately an if else statement and a regex sort of similarity matching, right? So now in this module, in the second module, what we'll do is we'll start building LLMs, we'll start building agents by using LLMs or large language models, right? The key objectives or the key learning points of this particular module would be we'll try to learn how the LLMs can serve as decision making agents for various business tasks. We'll try to utilize frameworks such as LangChain, OpenAI APIs to build the LLM-powered agent. It's okay if you don't understand these terms such as LangChains. I'm sure you must have heard of ChatGPT. The parent company of ChatGPT is OpenAI, right? So you must have heard of it. If not, it's okay. We would be covering these things in depth, but these would be the frameworks that we would be using for our LLM powered agents, right? And of course, we would be looking at some open source alternatives as well of OpenAI's API. So these would be open source LLM chatbots, and we would be implementing and evaluating a conversational agent for, say, a customer support or a workflow automation kind of a job, right? So that's what would be our major focus for this particular module. And what we would be trying to cover in this particular module is we would try to we'll try to have topics covered such as LLMs as an autonomous agent, where we'll be using LLMs such as GPT-4 or something like that to interpret the instructions and interact with natural languages itself, and then try to make decisions out of it, right? So we'll see on how the LLM based agents can handle unstructured inputs. We'll have something like emails or a chat system or something like that, and we'll try to grasp the tasks that the user is trying to query for, and then we'll try to execute those tasks or those queries in business scenarios, right? So we'll try to cover that. Then we'll try to have some workflow automation system with the LLMs, where we'll try to cover the patterns for using LLMs in enterprise-based workflows. We'll draft some responses. We'll try to summarize documents. We'll try to query a database via natural language, and then we'll also sort of touch upon prompt engineering, which would be essential for guiding the LLM and then maintaining the context and the memory across the interaction that we do with the LLM, right? So we'll try to touch base on that as well. Then we'll introduce ourselves to the LangChain workflows, where we'll do a high level introduction to the LangChain library itself, and then the key aspects or the key components of the LangChain library. We'll try to understand what are prompts, chains, memories, tools, and things like that, right? And then we'll try to see how LangChain simplifies connecting the LLMs to other services, such as, say, search engine or calculators or the databases or something like that, right? And then this gives a better capability to the agent itself. So that's where we will have our LangChain framework, which will give the superpowers to our LLMs, right? Then of course we won't just stick to that framework. We'll also have our OpenAI's API integration, where maybe we'll start with a walkthrough of the OpenAI API, and then we'll try to access the models which are available via these APIs. We'll access models such as GPT 3.5, GPT-4, etc., right? We'll also try to cover more practical aspects, where we'll try to understand what are API keys, what are rate limits, how to do cost management, how to integrate the API calls with your Python applications, etc., right? And then we'll try to cover a industrial use case for it. right? Where we'll have a real world scenario, for example, an AI agent in business, where you have automated email responder, or report generator, or say customer support chatbot or something like that, right? And then of course many of the companies deploy these kind of chat GPT powered assistant to handle common customer inquiry, right? So we'll try to have sort of faster responses. We'll try to also see how you can do some operational cost savings. And then we'll try to highlight use cases where we'll have something like AI customer support bot or something like that, which is doing routine queries, which is doing something like something like freeing human agents itself to tackle the complex issues which are faced during these kind of customer support chatbots, right? So we'll look into that, and then we'll have a capstone project for this section or this module itself. We'll try to examine how an e-commerce company can implement an LLM-driven customer support chatbot. So sort of in the flow itself, but now we'll have a AI assistant that uses the GPT model. Of course, you can replace it with an open source model itself and do a product FAQ, read through the support logs, and then try to understand the customer's question in a natural language, and then provide an instant answer or troubleshooting guide or something like that, right? So a whole support assistant kind of a AI agent. We'll try to build that. And this will basically help us in reducing the average response time from the minutes which the customer have to wait today to say something in seconds or milliseconds. There would be a better customer iteration rate and the customer satisfaction rate. And then, of course, there would be a low support workload on the people itself, right? And from this case study, we'll also try to address how a chatbot handles uncertain queries, and then rerouting these uncertain queries to humans for getting feedback, right? And then so this will ensure that the brand appropriate responses are carefully given based upon the human feedback which is provided, or the knowledge base that is provided from the human feedback. And we'll also do some prompt engineering, some careful prompt design to ensure that we are meeting the brand's criteria for the responses that are getting generated, right? So this would be an capstone project. We'll also have an hands-on exercise where we would be building a LLM based, again, support bot. We'll try to create it again using something like a LangChain and OpenAI, or we'll try to make this in open source LLMs rather than using closed source OpenAI's one, or we might use something like Anthropic, Claude, or something like that. Right, we'll see how it goes. And then ultimately we will have a small a knowledge base, say a product information or something like that, quite similar to the capstone project that we did, but we'll try to have a QA chain over here. We'll try to have small sample queries like how to reset my password, or where's my order, or something like that, right? And we'll also try to have a sort of a RAG system where it can also query. So how it would be topping the previous capstone project is you can query to the database, fetch information from that database, and you can harness the power of the relevant data that you have fetched from the database itself, give it to your LLM, and then have a memory context sort of a memory which would be there, which would be given to the LLM, and then ultimately the LLMs would be generating responses based on that. So the initial project would be a basic simple AI customer support agent, and this one will also fetch data from vector databases, or will have sort of a better contextual understanding from your previous capstone project that you would be working on. So a lot of things lined up in this module. I hope to see you in the next video. Thank you.